Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our class. Let me tell you something very important before we start our class. It's raining cats and dogs here. So if the internet goes down because we use the satellite internet, don't hang up, okay? It comes back after 1 or 2 minutes. So just hold on and I'll be back, okay? I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend at home. And I hope everyone is keeping himself or herself safe and sound, okay? On behalf of Descubra Mundo, I'd like to welcome you all again, okay? And before starting our class, I would like to go over the extra material I gave you to be analyzed or studied or read, since it was a funny thing to be done over the weekend, okay? So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'd like to start talking about the first story, okay? I'm sorry if it was not very good, but it was scanned, okay? So, welcome back, iPhone. Good to see that you are here again. Remember, if you have any question, if I'm talking too fast, just ask me to slow down, or if you don't understand anything, just write in the bubble chat room, just ask there, slow down, or I don't understand, can you say that again, and so on. So I gave you 2 stories to be read over the weekend, and I'd like to start today's class discussing them with you. So I'm going to read it for you, and let's see if you can understand and can you guess the end of the story, okay? So the first one is called The Architect. Is there any architect in our class? Is there any architect here with us? Yes or no? No.
No.
Okay. This no.
No.
I am already familiar with this. Is it Oscar?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm engineer. I'm engineer.
Yeah, I remember that. With that strong voice, okay?
Yeah, I'm engineer, not architect.
You see, I remember you, but you do you also remember my name?
Roberto.
All right. Oh, at least you learned it in our last class. I'm not Ricardo.
Yeah.
Can you believe I do have a brother with the name of Ricardo? Okay, but yeah, yes, but I'm Roberto. Anyway, let's talk about this architect story that takes place in London. I'm going to read the story for you, and let's see if you can discover the end of it. Maybe if it's not very clear because I had to scan it. Oh, an American architect was visiting London. He was on a business trip, but he also wanted to see all the famous buildings in London. So as he didn't have much time, he stopped a taxi and asked the driver to take him to all the old and famous buildings in London. Then the taxi driver drove him to the Tower of London. And then he said, "This is the Tower of London. It used to be a prison in the old days," he said. The American looked at the building and said, "It's so small. In America, we could build this in a day." Well, then the taxi driver took the American to see the Westminster Abbey. That's where all the kings and queens get married. Abbey is the same of a cathedral, but since they are not Catholic, they call it abbey, okay? And then he said, "This is a famous church. Kings and queens get married here." Like when Prince Charles got married with Lady Di, he got married at the Westminster Abbey, okay? The American again looked at the old building and said, in America, we could build this church in 2 days. The driver, you can imagine, was very, very happy with the remark. But he continued. The driver decided to take the American to see a bigger church. So he drove him to St. Paul's Cathedral, which is the biggest church in London. He stopped outside the church and said, this is the most famous church in England. The great architect, Christopher Wren, built this church. Once again, this snobbish American got out of the taxi, looked at the church, and said, in America, we could build this church in 3 days. If you are familiar with London, probably you know that it took the British people hundreds of years to build them. Next, the driver took the American to the Houses of the Parliament, which is like the British Congress, where the politicians meet and discuss things. This is where British politicians meet, said the taxi driver. The American, again, he looked and said, we could build this in 4 days. Okay? Well, by this point, the taxi driver was extremely upset because the American was very snobbish. As they say in English, stuck up, very snobbish. Then he drove past Buckingham Palace, the home of Queen Elizabeth. Not at this moment, okay, because of the quarantine, she's not there. Okay, she's at the Windsor's Palace. As the taxi passed the palace, the American said, hey, just a moment. What is this big and beautiful building? The taxi driver looked at the palace and said, now comes my question. What do you think the British taxi driver, or cabbie, as they say it, what do you think he replied to the snobbish American that practically humiliated all the famous buildings in England? Any idea? Please, write here your ideas. Does anyone have any idea what the British taxi driver said to the American when he said, hey, what is this big and beautiful building? Does anyone have any idea? Does anyone have any idea?
Maybe nothing, because you can build this in only 1 day, maybe.
No, but it was the British that said something. Okay, not the American. This time it was the revenge. It was the time for the British driver to say something to the snobbish American. It's our bathroom. Okay, that's not really what he said. Any other? Okay, in America you could build this in 5 days. Not really. Any other? I don't know. Okay, Oscar said something funny here. I don't know. Yesterday we didn't have, Oscar, be careful. We didn't have nothing in this place, okay? It's not possible to use double negative. We didn't have anything in this place. Okay, Oscar? We didn't have anything. I cannot say didn't, nothing. double negative makes affirmative. You studied engineering. Remember, negative plus negative makes affirmative. Okay? So in English, you cannot have double negative. My pleasure, Oscar. But your answer so far is the best. Okay, Oscar? That this is still building like a joke. No. What do you think? What was the chance for the just a building that could have been done in 5 days? No. Can I answer the question? Yes. The British driver looked at the American and said something like what Oscar said, but a little different, like this. I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't here this morning when I passed by. That is what the British said to the American. So do you think this was a very good answer? I don't know. It wasn't here this morning when I passed by. What do you think? Was it a good answer? Yes? Do you understand? Okay, I think that was a slap, paw, in the face of this snobbish American, okay? I don't know, that wasn't here this morning when I first passed or when I first drove by, okay? Karina, so means what? You don't understand or you don't like the story? Karina, what is this so? You don't understand or you didn't like? I don't know. It's a joke. He had his revenge. Yes, of course, that was a good revenge. Okay? Because the American humiliated him after seeing all the big, beautiful buildings that you have in London. And then the taxi driver had a chance to pay back. And then he said, I don't know. It wasn't here when I first passed by this morning or when I first drove by this morning. Okay? Understand now? Yes? Good. Can I go to the other story that you were supposed to think about? This is also a good one. Boys and girls. The idea is always to try to imagine the end of the story, okay? I will give you more exercise like this. Oh, Amanda Gardner was 18. Her parents decided to have her birthday party in a hotel. About 200 people came to the party. An old woman was staying in the hotel. She heard the music and she came into the party room. She had not been invited. She was just crashing the party. The young boys and girls were dancing in the middle of the room. The old lady sat down and watched. Then she said, when I was young, parties were different. It was very easy to tell who was a boy and who was a girl. Today, it's very different to tell who is a boy and who is a girl. The person sitting next to her said nothing. Oscar, pay attention here. The person sitting next to her said nothing. You see, it's not the person didn't say nothing. The person said nothing or the person sitting next to her didn't say anything. It's the same, okay? The person sitting next to her didn't say anything. Okay? Or the person sitting next to her said nothing. And then the woman continued. When I was young, boys had short hair and girls had long hair. So it was very easy to tell who was a boy and who was a girl. That girl's hair is very short. It's a boy's haircut. Once again, the person sitting next to her said nothing. Then the old lady said, "Do you think she's a boy or a girl? It is very difficult to tell, isn't it?" Remember, we talked about question tag. It's a very difficult to tell, isn't it? The person sitting next to her said, "No, it's very easy for me because that girl is my daughter." The old lady was very embarrassed and she said, "Oh dear, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were her father." And then the person sitting next to her replied. Now comes the question. What do you think the person sitting next to the old lady replied? Thank you for sharing, Vanessa. Any other different opinion? Does anyone have any other opinion? What did the person sitting next to her reply? Oscar said no. Does anyone else know what the person sitting next to her replied? No problem, sir. No. Nope. That's not the answer. Congratulations, Vanessa. The person said, "Sorry, I am not her father. I'm her mother. Sorry, I am her mother." Okay? Woohoo! You got it, Vanessa. Congratulations. Okay? I'm her mother. Can you understand this? Okay? Sorry, I am her mother. All right? So things are different. Yes. Things are changing. Yes. That's why it's important for us to be updated with everything nowadays. Okay? So that was it. I gave you 2 stories to read and try to understand. And today, right now, we are going to start our class. So once again, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay? And we are going to see today's class. Okay. What are we going to talk about today? I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, okay? Every day for me is the same inside of my room, so I'm not going anywhere. So my memory is kind of failing me. But somebody asked about indirect questions. So that's what we are going to talk about today. How to ask indirect questions and why we use indirect questions. So this is the topic of today's class. And at any time, if you have any question, just remember, stop me and ask, okay? All right? So let's go. Let's go to page 1 and see what is an indirect question. the use of indirect questions in English. So pay attention here, please. Oh, indirect questions are a way of being polite. It's a way of asking questions in a very well-educated manner. Okay? They are very, very common in English, especially when you're talking to someone that you don't know, especially when you're talking to someone on the street, when you want to ask a question. Okay? So, please, take a look at this conversation that you have here. I'm going to highlight it for you. Oh, excuse me, could you tell me where the nearest supermarket is? Then the person on the street says, certainly, it's along that road on the right. Thank you. And do you know if there is a gas station here? The person again said, yes, there is one next to the train station. Oh, thank you very much for your help. If you observe this short dialogue, you have here some examples of indirect question. If you stop a person on the street and say, excuse me, where is the nearest supermarket? Of course, he or she will understand you. But this is not the best way to talk to someone you are not familiar with. That's why instead of saying, where is the nearest supermarket, we change it to, could you tell me, can you tell me, do you know, I was wondering if. There are many different ways of asking for a question in an indirect way. And that's what we are going to see today. All the different possibilities. You see, I use indirect questions when I'm asking for help in the street or on the street. Depends on American English or British English. In England, they say in the street. In the United States, they say on the street, because it's more polite. Indirect questions always start with phrases like, could you tell me, or do you know, I wonder if, I was wondering where, okay? For example, here we have an example of a direct question. Excuse me, where is the bank? Of course, everybody understands this. But as I said, this is not the best possible way of asking a question. I myself would never say this. I would say, excuse me, sir, could you tell me where the bank is? Observe the position of the verb. When I say, where is the bank? The verb is placed in front of the subject, the bank. But when I say, could you tell me? The question is formed in this part. Could you tell me? Then, in the second part, the verb to be goes back to the normal position after the subject. Could you tell me where the bank is? Okay? It's very important for you to observe and not to say, could you tell me where is the bank? If you do this, you are asking the same question twice. It's a double, it's redundant. It's a double question. Okay, so that's not the best way of doing it. Okay, understand this? Any question about this? Or no? No, 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 no. Okay. All right. Oscar, I'm glad to see that now you're following me. So pay attention here. To make an indirect yes or no question, we always use if. And the word order is just like an affirmative sentence. We keep the verb, if we have an auxiliary verb, in front of the subject. Okay? This is like a regular question. In indirect, it goes back to the normal position after the subject. So, If you observe here, to make an indirect yes or no, we use if and the word order of a normal affirmative statement. This is the same as for reported yes or no questions. On the other hand, we don't usually need to backshift. That is, we don't need to change the verb to the past. We keep the verb in the present, okay? So, observe the examples. I have tried to prepare many examples for you to see. Oh, of course, most tenses make questions by using inversion. That's when you change the order of the words. To change from a direct yes or no questions with inversion to an indirect question, you add if at the beginning, and then you put the verb at the normal position. You don't need, okay? Oh, if I have a verb to be in the present, like, is he Spanish? This is a direct question. An indirect question would be, can you tell me, do you know, I wonder, could you tell me if he is Spanish? Observe the position of the verb to be. In a direct question, is before the subject. In an indirect question, it's after the subject, okay? If I have the present continuous, it's the same, because I have verb to be. Is the restaurant closing now? Can you tell me if the restaurant is closing now? If it's in the past, no problem. Was he late for the meeting? Can you tell me if he was late for the meeting? If it's in the past continuous, it's the same. I have verb to be. Were you watching TV at 3 p.m.? Can you tell me if you were watching TV at 3 p.m.? Okay. Now, if I have a sentence in the present perfect, like, has Lucy been to Mexico? Well, now it's in the present perfect. Has Lucy been? Then I'm going to say, do you know, can you tell me, I wonder if Lucy has been to Mexico. If it's in the present perfect continuous, has she been living here long? Can you tell me if she has been living here long? If it's in the past perfect, had she found this job when she moved here? Can you tell me if she had found this job when she moved here? Okay? It's just a normal affirmative statements after, can you tell me? If it's in the past, perfect continuous. Had she been living here long when she met you? Can you tell me if she had been living here long when she met you? If I have modals or will she start her new job next week? Can you tell me if she'll start her new job next week? If it's with going to, is it going to rain later? Do you know if it is going to rain later? If it's in the future continuous, will Lisa be meeting the boss later? Do you know if Lisa will be meeting the boss later? Okay, a lot of examples, as I told you. If it's in the future perfect, will he have finished the report by tonight? Can you tell me if he'll have finished the report by tonight? If it's in the future perfect continuous, will he have been studying French for 20 years when he retires? Can you tell me if he'll have been studying French for 20 years when he retires? If I have any other modal verbs, should, must, can, could, it's the same. Should we start now? Can you tell me if we should start now? Can you do it? Or can she do it? Do you know if she can do it? All these examples started with if, because they were yes or no questions. Is there any problem about this? Any question about this, or can I go to the second part? No. Come on, I need more people to reply. Any question or no? No, no. No, no, no. No. Good. Let's go to the second part. Good. Okay. So pay attention to the second part. What are we going to do now? Sometimes the questions don't begin with do, does, or did, or sometimes the questions begin with WH question. Where, when, what. If they start still yes or no with do, does, or did, what's going to happen? The auxiliary verb is going to disappear in the indirect question. Like, does David live in London? Do you know if David lives? Observe that when you say does, you use the verb in the base form, live. But here, you see, does disappear. Do you know if David? So you are obliged to use the verb in the present again. Do you know if David lives in London? Okay? Because you are not using does. If you have a question in the simple past, like, did Amanda call John yesterday? Do you know if Amanda called? Observe that the verb goes back to the simple past. Oh, do you know? Can you tell me? I wonder if Amanda called John yesterday. Any problem about this or no? Is it confusing or can I just go on? No questions. Come on, there are many people in this room. Can I just go on? Huh? Everybody understood? Can I go on? Okay, good. Let's go to the next part. What happens when you have WH questions? In this case, you are not going to use if. You are supposed to use the same question word of the regular direct question. The same. For example, why is he unhappy? It's a WH question, but I have the verb to be. Can you tell me, do you know, I wonder why he is unhappy? I wonder why he is unhappy. Observe the position of the verb again. Why he is. The question is formed here. Can you tell me? So there is no need to say, why is he unhappy? Okay? When is the restaurant closing? Can you tell me when the restaurant is closing? Why was he late? Why was he late for the meeting? Can you tell me? I'm using can you tell me here because it was easier for me to copy and paste can you tell me? But there are many options, okay? Can you tell me why he was late for the meeting? What were you doing at 3 p.m.? Can you tell me what you were doing at 3 p.m.? Where has Lucy been? Can you tell me where Lucy has been? How long has she been living here? Can you tell me how long she has been living here? Why had she quit her job before she moved here? Do you know why she had quit her job before she moved here? How long had she been living here when she met you? Do you know how long she had been living here when she met you? When will she start her new job? Do you know when she will start her new job? When is it going to rain? Can you tell me when it is going to rain? What time will Lisa be meeting the boss? Can you tell me what time Lisa will be meeting the boss? When will he have finished the report? Can you tell me when he'll have finished the report? I am almost finishing this part. How long will he have been studying French when he retires? Do you know how long he'll have been studying French when he retires? Okay, observe that you don't change any verb. When he retires, you only change the position of will he will. What should we do now? Do you know what we should do now? Yes, we should stay home and stay safe, okay? The same thing happens when I have do, does, or did. Do, does, or did are going to disappear and the verb goes back to the normal position and in the correct tense. Where does David live? Can you tell me where David lives? You see, does disappears, so I have to add the S in the verb lives. Why did Amanda call John yesterday? Do you know why Amanda called John yesterday? Any problem about here before I discuss the most common problems or no problem? Can I just go on? Any question? Any question? Or no? No questions? Okay. What is the biggest problem for a Brazilian when using the present perfect? Again, it's when you construct your sentence in Portuguese in your mind and then you translate word by word into English and you say it. Every time you do this, you can have problems. Observe the examples below, please. Oh, could you tell me where the station is? Observe the position of the verb. Could you tell me where the station is? It's not possible, you see, and not possible to say, could you tell me where is the station? It's redundant. You have two questions. Could you tell me? That's one question. Where is the station? That's two questions. So you can't use the verb in front of the subject. The verb has to go back to the normal position after the subject. Okay? For example, what's her name? What's her name? Do you know what her name is? Okay? Do you know what her name is? All right? I have more examples here. I was wondering if you can tell me your phone number. Oh, this is a very good, in English, they say a pickup line. A pickup line is when you're flirting somebody in a disco or in a nightclub, okay, and you want to know the telephone number of the person. I was wondering if you can tell me your phone number. This is the best possible question. It's not possible to say, I was wondering if, can you tell me? That sounds terrible. If you use this, you will never get the number. All right? Never. It's wrong. Bad English. Do you know where Mary lives? That's perfect. Not possible to say, do you know where does Mary live? All right? I wonder where she went last night. Perfect. Not possible to say, I wonder where did she go last night? Okay? This is no good. I wonder where she went last night. This is perfect. Any question about this? So as you can see, there are many ways of asking an indirect question, which is going to make your English much, much better. You can say, do you know? Can you tell me? Could you tell me? Would you mind? Okay, would you mind telling me? I forgot this, but this is also possible. Oh, would you mind telling me blah, 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 blah? This is also a very, very good expression. Would you mind telling me what her name is? Would you mind telling me where she works? Would you mind telling me what you did last night? Okay? Any question? Any question? Any question? No? You guys are so smart. Yes, it's okay. No, no, no. I'm going to be honest. I don't like when you have no questions, because when you have no question, it means you don't need me. And you know what that means? I'm going to lose my job. I need my job, especially now. Okay? So, yes, Francini. How can I think in English? Okay. Well, the problem is you have to get used to. Start watching movies. Don't try to translate everything. The same way when I say, hi, how are you? You don't need to say, how, como, are, está, you, você. Then you think, eu estou bem. When I say, hi, how are you? It's very common that you respond, fine, thanks, and you. So you have to get used to listening to English without translating. That's the only way. I'm going to be very honest with you. It was easy for me because I grew up in the United States. I went to school in the United States. And at the time I went to school in the United States, which was a long time ago, many things that existed in the United States did not exist in Brazil. And then, how could I translate something which I had never seen in my life in Portuguese? Okay? I used to live in Seattle, in the state of Washington. Okay? So, I started learning by thinking in English. And my children, they have learned it the same way. So it's very interesting. If you ask my children, in Portuguese, what do you usually put on your pancake? They're going to say maple syrup. I'm sure that my children cannot translate maple syrup into a Portuguese word because we don't have maple syrup in Brazil. You can find in the supermarket, but it's important. Okay? It's called maple syrup. If you want, I can give you a complete class about what is maple syrup, but I will never translate it because it doesn't exist in Brazil. Understand what I'm trying to say? So certain things you have to understand in English. It's nice with waffles. Yes, pancakes, waffles, everything. I put maple syrup even in my cereal when it has no sugar. Okay? I like sweet things. I have a sweet tooth. It's an expression in English. To have a sweet tooth. It means I like sweet things. So I put it in my cereal. Okay? It's very good with waffles. It's very good with pancakes. It's very good with cereal too, believe me. Okay? So the best way for you to think in English is not to translate. When you don't understand, you ask the person to explain to you what he or she tried to say. And then you try to understand in English. When you ask me a question, I can explain you the meaning of that question for 1 hour in English. But I don't need to translate. I know what it means in English. All right? So I have some questions here. Why did she cry? How could you change this from direct, why did she cry, a direct question, to an indirect question using, can you tell me? What is the answer? Can you tell me? Come on, guys. We are running. Erica, no, think again. Pay attention to the original question. Why did she cry? Question is in the past. So what's the answer? Can you tell me? No, you don't change the tense. iPhone. iPhone. I don't know who you are, but you are right. Can you tell me why she cried? Yes, she cried. Not why she's crying or not why she cries. It's in the past, so you never change the tense. If it's in the present, why does she cry all the time? Can you tell me why she cries all the time? Why is she crying? Can you tell me why she's crying? All right? How about one more before we finish this class? The class is about to finish. We are running out of time. Here. Will they be all right? Will they be all right? I wonder. And now, what's the answer? Come on, we have to finish. No. It's missing something. No. It's missing something. A very important word. 2 syllables. Come on, please, guys. Share your thoughts. I wonder me, they will. No. If. Okay, if they will be. That's the answer. I wonder if they will be. All right? It's a yes or no question. So I need to use if they will be. Very good, Oscar. Very good. If they will be all right. Well, you have some exercise here, not many because you don't have a lot of time. So I just gave you 15 exercises. Tomorrow, I will give you the answers to all of them. And here you have the answers to the exercise concerning question tags that we studied yesterday. Okay? I thank you, everyone, for joining this class. On behalf of Descubra Mundo, I appreciate your participation. We really encourage you to stay home. I know there are many people saying, don't stay home. But please, stay home, be safe, be sound, prepare yourself for your program, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time, okay? With a different topic, of course. All right? Thank you very much for joining our class, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. All right? Bye-bye. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure to teach you. Okay? Thank you very much. All right? See you guys tomorrow again at the same time. All right? Bye-bye. See ya.